Okay, Oregon State, team that has vastly improved from last year. And if you remember last year's game, kind of interesting, 52-24, score really doesn't say what happened in this football game. Reflecting on it, they rushed the ball 53 times for 261 yards. We rushed it 48 times for 326 yards. I think sometimes we forget about all that. They had a day of running the football. We had a day of running the football. Only 24 passes by them and 25 from us. We were just able to get some stops. We didn't turn the ball over. They had one turnover. We only had one penalty. We played a pretty clean game, but they were able to run the football. They ran it very well on us. So when you watch them on tape, they're very balanced, good offense. Coach Smith does a great job of calling plays, and so we better be prepared for that. Defensively, they've improved some, played Washington pretty tough, to be quite honest. Did a nice job of slowing that offense down, and it was one of those games. So we know we're going to have our work cut out for us. Talk to our team a lot about just not self-destructing and getting behind early. When you look at the 4 games that we have lost, the score in the first quarter has been 56-14. We haven't scored a lot of points in the first quarter. We were down USC 28-7. We were down UCLA 14-7. We had Colorado, it was 14-0 here. Utah was 0-0, but the total amount of scores, I believe, is 57-14 or something like that. So we've gotten down early in some games, and we had to fight our way back. And those are the 4 that we have lost so far. It was just same pattern. That in really self-destructing. I said it after the game, and now the more that I look at it, it holds true. The Sun Devils are beating the Sun Devils. We had 8 fouls in that game. That kills drives or continues drives. Or 9 fouls in the last game. 5 drop passes, some up critical, big moments. 3 turnovers that kill drives. We had some missed kicks. We had a missed extra point, obviously. We kicked one out of bounds. And so I think we got to get back to the details and focus on our jobs and do it better. And if we do that, we'll have a chance to win a football game. Questions?
Hodor Devils Digest. Herm, in terms of how to fix the problems, which you said are reoccurring from week to week, do you find yourself trying to change the methodology of how you fix those problems, maybe going outside the box in some cases, or is there really one formula you think you need to stick to and just hopefully just comes through one day?
Yeah, it's repetition and paying attention to alignment and assignment of what you're asked to do. And early in the game, secondary-wise, we had some breakdowns, some critical errors. We got it fixed after the first quarter, and we seemed to settle down again and get going. And a lot of it is youth, to be quite honest. It happens, and you don't like for it to happen. If it happens in the back end of your defense, you got a problem because it's a score. It's not like if it happens in the front, where somebody can make a tackle and get you out of the play. When it happens in the back end, and it did numerous times. And with that being said, the only thing you can do is continue to coach them. The more experience they gain, hopefully the more confidence they'll gain and play better. And that's what we got to do. We just got to play better and not allow the big explosion plays or the continuous drives, and we've been scored on early in games all of a sudden defensively. People have come out and scored the ball on us, and all of a sudden our offense is kind of playing uphill. I mean, the first couple scores, their first score, they drive right down the field. I think they take 6-7 minutes off the clock. We take 1 minute. We go 3 plays and we're 1 minute, we're off, and the next thing you know, it's 14-0. And the time you're trying to correct it, I look up, it's 21-0. I'm going, really? It's happening that fast, huh? And it just gets away from you, and then all of a sudden we settle down and we kind of find our way, and we made it a competitive game at the end again, but it's too late. And you can't do that. You can't play football that way. It's too hard to win.
Michelle Gardner, Arizona Republic. Coach, where is Jaden now? Is it too early in the week to foresee whether he'll play this week?
I'm hoping he can get through practice. He was, last week he practiced a little bit but couldn't quite get through it. And so we'll see this week where he's at. Hopefully he can make it through a practice, and if he can, that's good signs for us. That means he'll have an opportunity to play.
Chris Carmen, Sun Devil Source. Herm, what have your thoughts been about the progress from year 1 to year 2 with some of your key defensive players, especially ones who were freshmen last year, Merlin, Darian, Ashari, et cetera?
Not as explosive. Need to play better, be quite honest. And that's what has to happen in games. You know, your good players need to play well. They need to make plays for you. And they're close. But here again, expectations. Last year, nothing was expected out of freshmen, out of those guys. And they kind of did some things, everybody. So now they got to live up to that. Learning how to do that is a new thing for guys, too, at a different level. You know, it's so you're not the best player on the field, like in high school. You're playing against really good players. And how do you deal with that? So we've got some of that going, too. I mean, all of it's part of youth and you know, experience and everything else. Like pro football, I always say, your first year is not the year, it's the second year. It's your year after your rookie year. And I experienced it as a second-year guy. You know, started my rookie year, and no one expects anything, and you get 6 interceptions in 14 games. Everybody goes, ooh, pretty good, right? Your second year, all of a sudden, you get 16 games, and my father passed away, and that was something I was dealing with early. And all of a sudden, about halfway through the season, I found my way. I wasn't the same guy. I wasn't making the same kind of plays, and fought my way out of it, and ended up getting 7 interceptions, right? But I fought my way out of it, and I think I understand that because I went through it, and it's part of the growing process, and you can't rush it, and every guy's different. And it's not an excuse. It's just it's the reality of it all. You know, it's like when you first take your job, whatever field you're working in, and the first year is always you're excited and people don't have any expectations because you're young. And you get in your job and you start working. And the next year it's like, uh-oh, I got to meet this, right? It becomes a little different. And it's no different in sports. It's no different. We see it all the time, and it's just problem we got. It's not 1 or 2 guys, it's 3/4 of your football team, right? And you go through it. And you can't get mad at the players, because I know I was a player, I get it. And you can't rush them through it. They all find a way to figure it out. And when they do that, we're going to have a chance to be a good football team. But we got to live with it right now.
Greg Moore, Arizona Republic. Coach, are you concerned with the defense in the first quarter? Is it an issue of effort or is it an issue of game plan?
I don't know if it's effort or game plan. I just think it's a lack of focus at times. Because we didn't change the game plan after the first quarter. I mean, it was like, okay, we had this game plan, and I'm scratching my head. I said, did we do something wrong here? And then they get 3 points. It was the same offense. Same players, they got 3 points the rest of the game. And I'm like, well, what happened the first quarter? I don't know the game plan so much. I mean, when you play cover 2, I mean, that's about as basically as it gets. It's like too deep, and it's like, okay, just don't give up a deep ball. We might have set a college record. We have a 95-yard passing versus cover 2. I'm like, that's cover 2. I mean, you can't, that's just, you stay deepest is the deepest, and you got 2 guys running deep. We got a guy running right down the middle. I'm going, okay, intercept the ball. No, it's a touchdown. I don't know. I can't figure that one out. And when you're supposed to have the running back, and he goes out to the flat, go cover the running back. That's your cat. You're looking at him, and he runs out there, and then you start looking at the quarterback. We're supposed to cover this guy. The quarterback, you don't cover the quarterback. You cover that guy. You don't cover him. The guy catches the ball. He runs up the boundary, and I'm going, oh, that's interesting. So I don't know. So I don't know if it's so much a game plan. I just think it's maybe guys trying to do too much or trying to make a play rather than just play the defense that's called and fundamentally play it correctly. And if you do that, then you got a chance to be successful. If not, then errors happen. It's my opinion.
Chairson Susel, NBC Phoenix.
Yes.
Herm, you briefly mentioned your dad. With it being Veterans Day today, does this day have a little bit of special meaning to you?
It does. It does. It really does. And, I didn't really realize that. And then all of a sudden I got in here so early, no one was here anyway. And then around 8 o'clock, I'm looking, where's the ladies at? And you realize it's a special day for all those that have served our country, men and women. And you can't thank them enough for their service. Freedom is never free. And I think sometimes we don't realize that. And I learned that from my dad. So special day for me. A lot of memories when this day hits every year.
Doug Haller, The Athletic. Herm, just what was when you realized you had to go with Joey, what was your comfort level with a guy who hasn't, seen mop-up duty, really any action at all this year?
For me, it was really no different than the other 20 guys that play, right? He's playing quarterback. And I told him, I didn't bother him all week. I waited till, game day. And I went up to him in the locker room, and I looked at him and said, hey, I'll tell you one thing. And he looked at me, Joey kind of looks. And he was waiting for this big speech, like I was going to tell him, don't. I said, hey, have fun, man. Go sling that thing around. And he smiled, I said, just go have fun, man. Just play football. You know how to do this. And he did a great job. He really did. I mean, he wasn't perfect, but we weren't perfect as a team. But I think to be put in that situation, first time playing against a very talented defense, 4 touchdown passes, you can't ask a kid to do more than that. And I think the team rallied around him. They did a good job. You have a defense that had a high sack total after the first sack. Hey, he stood in the pocket and threw it. It wasn't like, we moved him out. We moved him out a couple times, got him on the perimeter with some boots and stuff like that, but he stayed in the pocket. And that's what he does well. He feels the pocket. He knows how to move in the pocket to get some more time. And he made some nice throws. I think it's shocked everybody that he would throw the ball down the field as much as he did. And he did. He saw man. When he sees press coverage, it's like, hey, I told him, I said, go ahead and chuck it, man. Go ahead and chuck it. If you want to chuck it, just chuck it. And he chucked it. He didn't have any problem throwing it down. The first 2 plays was like, boom. I'm going, ooh. Problem is, 3 plays, they're all passes, and it's like 1 minute went off the clock. I said, that's not good. So we got to make first down somewhere along the line, right? But he ended up finding his way and did a pretty good job for us. Had a chance at the end, we fell a little short.
Yeah. Also, Herm, didn't fumble, I don't think, at all last year. And this year, I don't know if you could say it's a problem, but he's lost 3, I think. Is he? They talked on the TV telecast. Maybe he was fighting a little, exposing the ball when he was fighting.
Well,
for
I
yards.
think the one hit was right on the ball. Hit him square, and when he went into the guy, he went and led with the shoulder that he's carrying the ball. And Eno's not a fumbler by any stretch of imagination. He hadn't fumbled the ball at all the year prior to that, I don't think. And this year, he just happens to come out a couple times. So I'm pretty sure he'll secure it. And probably at times, because he fights so much for yardage when he gets hit. Here's the problem when you fumble it. It's like, okay, the word gets out, right? And defenses come now when they're coming to attack the ball. That's what they do, and it's no different at any level. When you see that on tape, your coaches are saying, go after the ball. Just go after the ball. And Eno always fights for extra yards, but he's not a fumbler, and we got to get him the ball when we can. He had a big day against these guys last year, and their defense is probably talking about that. They don't want that to happen, but their runner had a big day against us too. So it was a game that it was some scoring in it, but there was a lot of running in it. And when you think about it, no one anticipated that both teams would run the ball that many times, and they did. They did as well as us.
Coach, I remember you saying the first week of spring practice, too many balls on the ground.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's been another thing that's been
Yeah.
a bugaboo of you guys is in all these losses.
Yeah, ball on the ground, missed opportunities. As I stated, 5 drop balls in that game, which you got to catch. You got to catch the ball, and you can't drop it. And in big moments, and I think on the last drive we dropped a couple. And if we catch them, I mean, if we catch one of them right early in the drive, we're on the 50 with 3 minutes left. Because we had lots of time. I mean, the time wasn't a factor. College football. I mean, you make a first down, the clock stops. We had 3 minutes and 36 seconds. So to me, it was okay. Let me use my timeouts now, so I can, because I know what they're going to do. They're running the clock down when they had the ball, and they're going to run it down because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run it down as much as I can to get as much time off the clock. It's not like pro football where first downs, you know, it doesn't matter. You got to get out of bounds. In college, stop the clock every time you make a first down, and if you get past the 50 at that point, you can clock it every time you make a first down or a second down to stop the clock. So we had plenty of time. We dropped some balls that we got to catch, and you know the guys feel bad about dropping them, and I get it. We've got to catch them in those moments.
Coach Michael Caracino, Sports Hangover. You talked about, obviously, I mean, Joey's performance, but you always hear about other players saying a quarterback's command of the huddle. Do you feel as the game went on that they were responding to him more in the huddle, had a really good command of it?
I think, you know, the players are very, very confident in Joey. You know, Joey has you don't see it a lot, but he's got a really good personality. You know, Peyton Manning is kind of his idol. He has mannerisms like Peyton Manning. He really does. If you watch Peyton Manning and watch Joey, he's gone to all his clinics and all that stuff, and you know, he has the mannerisms of patting his feet in the pocket, and when he throws a pass, you know, Peyton Manning just pull up his sleeves. He does that, you know. So he kind of mimics him, and you know, on our Fridays we have that candid camera deal. We always do things on Fridays I get about 8 players, and we have a candid camera deal, having fun with him. And I showed like Peyton Manning, right? Like in games, it's like they're like this, and then I showed Joey in practice doing it. You know, and the players are like dying because he wears 18 like Peyton Manning. I mean, that's his guy. You know, he studied him. He's going to his camps, and you know, all of a sudden he comes out. He comes in the game, and I mean, the first play he's chucking it. I said, he thinks he is Peyton Manning. You got to be kidding me. He chucks the first one. He sees man coverage, press coverage, and I'm like, no, he doesn't. He said, yeah, he's audible. He's going to throw it deep. I said, good for you, son. And he throws one down the rail. I go, well, he ain't afraid. You know, just throws it, so it's okay. It's all good.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Tim Healy, ASU Radio. Herm, a two-parter. How does his ability to throw the long ball, the deep ball, compare to a young man of that age that you've seen in the past? And the second question would be just simply, you clearly have 2 really, really good quarterbacks that are true freshmen. When you came here to build the program, is that the first position you needed to get locked down personnel-wise?
Yes. Answering the second question first, exactly. Because when you feel like you have a quarterback, you could build your team around that. We're still some pieces away, but that comes in recruiting. And there was a lot of recruits here this weekend, and we hosted a bunch of them, and I think we had some good vibes going with some of these kids. But Joey has he has a feel. You know, some guys can throw the long ball very well, and Joey, he has a catchable long ball where he puts enough air on it where guys can go make a play, especially when they're in man coverage where their back's turned away. And I told him when he threw the interception, as soon as he came off the field, I said, Joey, he says, yeah, Coach, I didn't look him off. I said, you got to look safety off. And then he said this too, which is kind of, it didn't surprise me. He says, those guys are pretty fast. I said, yeah, they're fast. Because of the speed of the game. You know, he hadn't played in the real game. He's practiced, but he hadn't played in the real game. And the speed of the game gets everybody when they first go in the game. So that caught him a little bit by surprise. The safety made the play. But then after that, he did a nice job of looking him off and throwing the ball, you know. So he's a quick learner. And, you know, he's got some talent now. I mean, he's got football talent. He throws a nice catchable ball. And so the moment wasn't too big for him. And I don't think anyone felt that. I had no anxiety about how he was going to play. I really didn't. I just think he's going to be okay. Because I trust the players. I just do. You got to go play, man. And he did a pretty good job of playing football for us.
Jeff Metcalf, Arizona Republic. What's your, going back to Eno, kind of what's your read on the running game at this point, and just the whole combination of everything going on up there?
Yeah, it's been a little bit inconsistent. for the most part. We had flashes of making some yards. Even that game, we had some flashes of making some yards. Problem is, we've gotten behind. And that always is a cause for concern, you know. Now this game, we kind of caught up after the first quarter. You know, we held them, but you're behind, and now you're trying to score. And you know, people come in, and rightly so. We got Joey, who's never played quarterback yet, and you're USC. I mean, what are you gonna do? You're gonna stack the box. You're gonna say this freshman quarterback has never played a game. Why wouldn't we stop Eno? And that's, Eno, I told him that in the offseason. I said, Eno, I said, the likelihood of a freshman quarterback playing is really high. And I said, you got to realize that they're going to put 8 guys in the box until that quarterback can beat them. And I said, here's the next problem. I said, I didn't know this, but after week 2, I said, now you got a left tackle and a right guard that are freshmen too. It's not that we were fortunate last year when we got into the program. We went and got 2 veteran players. We got Casey from Stanford, played tackle. We got Roy. We had an experienced offensive line. Now we don't. We don't have that same experience. You got 2 younger players playing. Okay, that puts a burden on everybody. And so that's part of the process, and you know it. And there's no other guy those are the guys we're playing. You know, Roy is kind of playing all over the place. It's good to have him because he can give some guys relief every once in a while. But Eno knew that coming in, and I told him it's going to be hard, man. I said it's no one's fault, but that's kind of where we're at right now as a team because that's what we're trying to build. So last year was different. I came in, I said, we got to get an offensive line. We have to, going forward, we're looking for some older players because the guys that are bringing in, we're bringing in some more freshman offensive linemen, but they're freshmen. We need some guys that have played, you know, and that's why, here we go, I hate to say it, here, Mr. Portal, right? Or grad transfers. I mean, are we looking for guys? We're looking for guys. I'll say it right now, we're looking for guys, okay? Because what we have is a bunch of young guys. We have freshmen right now that are not playing, but they haven't played either. So it's not like we have this abundance of offensive linemen. And I said it on the field during the game. To somebody, reporter asked me at halftime, said, got no pass rush. Look for a pass rusher too. Yeah, if you find one, send him here. I ain't kidding. I mean, you guys watch us play. I mean, Danny's doing everything he can to generate a rush, but you need a guy, because the whole defense changed when you hit one guy. I mean, I watched the game. I watch little pro games every once in a while. I watched the Vikings. Oh, I mean, Lynch is a good friend of mine. Okay, we know the John Lynch story. I look at his defensive line, all first-round picks. When you can rush 4 guys and you can make the quarterback go, whoa, it's a difference playing defense, right? I mean, so I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling you where we're at, okay? And it just don't, and they don't appear. It's like you don't just find them like, because everybody wants these same guys. We're all recruiting the same kind of guys, but we got to get a couple of those guys because then you're different. I mean, you look at the teams that we've played. Look at Utah. They rush 4 guys. And the quarterback is like, I got to get the ball out because they're coming. And then you just watch it. I mean, I watch Washington. Like, they got some guys, too, to come off the edge and rush. And that's what you got to have. At any level, you got to have a guy that can affect the quarterback. And we got to find some guys like that, and we will.
Coach in the back here,
Yes,
Gareth
sir.
Kwok, WCSN. You guys this past weekend faced a tough wide receiver,
Oh,
tandem
boy.
in USC, and it doesn't stop this Saturday against Isaiah Hodgins of Oregon State. How's you guys' secondary kind of match up with him?
Yeah, he's a good player. He played last year, got hurt. He pulled his hamstring, I think, in the first quarter. He caught a nice seam ball on us. And they do a nice job with him. They get him the ball a lot. They got a nice pass and attack. Very balanced offense, they know how to attack you. He's a big receiver. You know, he's about 6'3", 205, somewhere right around there. Runs good, has good hands, so he's a handful now. They're going to throw him some balls, some jump balls. He's got, I think 12 touchdowns, somewhere right around in there, I believe. So he's a good player, and they got two good runners. You know, they run the ball. They're a very balanced offense. Good. Thank you, folks. Appreciate you.